Hey, it's Ted McGrath. Welcome to today's show. So we've got a new Fed chair potentially coming in 2026, it sounds like, which is exciting news. The market's pumped after hearing that news about 10,000 on Bitcoin the other day, going all the way from about 84,000 to 94,000. Now Bitcoin's sitting around 92K. We also have BMNR continuing to buy more shares of Ethereum. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and where they stand. And Bitcoin, BTC inflows are positive. So things are moving in the right direction. So where are we going next? Are there things lining up for the next run and to make it a good 2026? And let's dive in right now. No tax advice, financial advice, or legal advice here. Do your own research on all this stuff. It's good to see you guys too. And let's pop in right now. So here's what we got. Big policy shift. Huge, right? Big news. Who will Trump nominate as Fed chair? You got a 68% likelihood Kevin Hassett here. And pretty cool. Something big is happening in the United States right now, and it could be really good for crypto and the whole market. High chance Kevin Hassett will be the next Federal Reserve chair. 72% odds, 68% odds, 68% on the chart or whatever, 72% here. So it might be a little typo, but he likes low interest rates and he supports cheap money and lots of liquidity. So we know that's good for crypto and that's good for risk on assets, Bitcoin, and other risk on assets like stocks. That means he likes to make borrowing easier so money can move around faster, which we all like to see because we're due a bull run, we're owed a bull run, and we want one soon. So Powell is the current Fed chair. His term ends May 15th, 2026. He's not leaving early. Despite Trump otherwise encouraging him to do so, he is staying in the game. Lots of huge things in the world happening right now. The U.S. Fed has started QE. QE equals money printing to help the markets. We've been hearing about this all year. Waiting for this. December 1st, quantitative tightening was going to end. It has. QE, printing of money, helps the markets. It has begun. Japan, if you didn't see my video the other day, unwinding back their carry trade, which means basically Japanese money is coming back home. And the U.S. also has a $2 trillion deficit, so the government needs cheaper money as well. And all of this points to one direction. The world needs lower interest rates again. When money gets cheaper, the markets tend to pump. Cheap money means more liquidity. More liquidity, assets go up first. And Bitcoin usually reacts first. So every time the world starts printing money again, Bitcoin moves before everything else. This is just like the 2020 money pump when everything exploded higher. Not just like it. It's not identical, but there's some similar signs. And Trump has basically confirmed Hassett. Trump effectively announces that Kevin Hassett will be the next Fed chair. 2026 could be a wild year. This is from the Kobesi letter up here and their post. A new video shows President Trump basically announcing Kevin Hassett as the next Fed chair. So it could be an interesting year coming up. Crypto has already reacted pretty fast. So if you look at crypto's move, we saw a move over the weekend where it dropped all the way down to about $84,000. This news came in. We saw crypto pump in the last couple days up to about 94,000. It's sitting around 92,000. Over $1 billion worth of leveraged shorts and longs had been liquidated in the last 2 days. This is a post by Bull Theory here mentioning this, and you can see the graph of crypto running from like 85-ish all the way up to like 94-ish. So it's a pretty big pump, right? Right after this, that's what happens. I just said this, $10,200 move on Bitcoin in a very short period of time. And that is the news. So now we understand that the U.S. policy shift is setting the stage for a huge liquidity wave. Let's look at what's happening right now in the real world. All right. So Vanguard just flipped. $11 trillion now has access to Bitcoin. So take a look at Vanguard. Vanguard's got a lot of assets. On the first day, Vanguard offered Bitcoin ETFs to clients. The trading volume went way, 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 way up. And they now allow Bitcoin ETFs on their platform. This means that 50 million customers suddenly have access to Bitcoin, which is good news. Bank of America green lights Bitcoin for wealthy clients. Bullish, right? This is what Coinvo says. Bank of America officially recommends their clients allocate at least 4% of their portfolio to Bitcoin. Who would have ever thought we'd see the day where Bank of America is saying get 4% of your portfolio into Bitcoin? They just told their advisors you can now put 1 to 4% into Bitcoin starting in January. And if you look at BlackRock's IBIT is back in green. So that's good news. We got more inflows coming into the ETFs, which is always positive. 119 million in a single day. One of the biggest inflows in weeks for BlackRock. So that's always good to see. Fear still super high though. So you got fear and greed around 23. And, extreme fear equals people panic. Coins get cheap. The smart money buys. And the PMI is still in the red, but that's actually good. If you've ever heard Tom Lee talk about this, he talks about the PMI. And that's basically it's still below 0, which is normally bad news. But historically, when PMI leaves the red and goes positive, Bitcoin begins massive bull rallies. So if you watched any of my videos before, I did a whole video on this where Tom Lee talks about when the PMI is below 50 and then eventually it crosses 50, historically, Bitcoin will run massively. So that is a good sign that it's still below and it's probably going to go above, which is good. So we also have some other good news. Rate cuts are coming and the polls say over 70% likelihood of a rate cut. Quantitative easing is restarting. December 1st, as I said, QT, quantitative tightening ended. We've got, massive AI build outs. We got a new Fed chair coming soon in 2026. And if PMI flips green again, Bitcoin usually flies when that happens. So November was terrible. December already turning again in the terrible times. If you take a look at the markets when they're going down, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. I said, even when the markets are down, you should be cause over the market. And I trade on the market. So when the markets are down, if you want to know what my trading strategy is, you can snag my free book here and get it. And also you can grab my weekly, my trading system that I use in a video that's for free. Okay. And basically, my clients and I, we trade every week. I'm teaching brand new people how to trade so they can be a cause over the market rather than effect when it drops and pick up more shares. I just picked up over 1% on a trade about 30 minutes ago, and I'm still in another trade waiting to pick up some more money. So when the market's down, I'm picking up more shares. So when it goes back up, I'm in a better position. So that's the goal. If you want it, you can grab my book down below, share it with a friend. It's totally free. Hope that serves you. Okay. Now, November was obviously not good. December's already turning around. So that's good news. And November was 17.4% loss on Bitcoin, one of the worst Novembers ever. December, already positive 2.9%. That's a big reversal. Let's not dramatize it with 15x reversal, but it's a big reversal. We're up positive, which is nice. And unlike other bad Novembers, this time we also have QE, rate cuts, and a Fed shift at the same time. So the news is bullish right now. The sentiment is bullish. You can feel it. ETH and Bitcoin are bouncing hard. This slide is not correct because Bitcoin's at 92,000 right now. That's old data. But if you look at this week, ETH is up, Bitcoin's up, almost everything's in the green again. And a few days ago, people were panicking, and we've got this V-shaped recovery started. So money flows are turning back on, as you can see in the graphs here. And if you take a look, after 4 straight weeks of negative ETF flows, we finally saw $1 billion come back in. Hooray. In ETF history, there's never been 5 straight negative weeks. So this bounce was expected. Even global ETFs like Brazil, Sweden, Hong Kong saw inflows as well, which is good news as well. So we like to hear good news like that. And US Bitcoin ETFs turning slightly green too. So we're moving in the right direction after the hammering we got for a couple months. So US ETFs, tiny amount of green. Last week was positive. Flows are stabilizing. And Bitmine now holds 3.7 million ETH. So Bitmine continues to accumulate ETH. BitMine showed that they now own 3.7 million, which is a very large number. This makes them the second largest ETF holder. The second largest crypto holder in the world. They're second to Strategy, who owns the most amount of Bitcoin, and then they have Ethereum, and they own about 3% of the supply of Ethereum, and they continue to climb, and they continue to buy every single week, which is fascinating to see this. Now their buys have dropped recently, but they continue to consistently buy. Their ETH buying has slowed down a little bit, as you see here. So you can see the graph on the drop down here in the month of November and also December. Every week they're buying more. This week they bought about 96,000 Ethereum. It's less than usual. In prior weeks, when they were buying high, it was like 200,000 Ethereum. But they're still buying ETH, just not as fast. But they're still on track to meet their 5% goal, where they want to own 5% of the supply of Ethereum, and they now own over 3% of the supply. So that's a big deal. They've accumulated it super fast. If you look at Strategy, when Strategy went on its big run, Strategy's accumulation to get to 3% of the supply took 5 years for Bitcoin, and for BMNR, it's taken 5-6 months for them to get 3% of the supply. So their accumulation, the velocity of what they're accumulating, and the speed at which they're accumulating right now is super, super fast. So Bitcoin isn't just buying Ethereum, they're also saving some money. So they now have 882 million in cash, their highest cash balance ever. This is important. If they thought ETH had already bottomed, they might spend the cash, but this is really speculative. Who knows? Like, maybe they're holding cash for different reasons. Maybe they think we're going to have another drop and they're going to pick up ETH at a lower price point. But right now they have a lot of cash. This means they might think ETH is going to drop a little bit more and they're going to pick up more, or they might just want to increase their cash reserves. Okay. So far BitMine, they've raised 749 million with 25 million in new shares at a $30 per share price point. So BitMine doesn't make money yet overall. They're not staking their ETH yet. And that's a big deal. As they do start to stake in the future, there's going to be a huge revenue stream coming into BitMine when they do that. And with the amount of Ethereum that they have, they could bring in 300, 400, 500 million dollars of income every year by just staking their Ethereum. So whenever they need new money, they sell new shares. And in the past 2 weeks, they've raised about 749 million. Okay. And as I just said, it's about 25 million new shares. So now BitMine has around 410 million total shares. And this is called dilution. Dilution is how they buy more ETH and they grow their cash. So if you look at their market cap right now, their market cap's 11 billion, 800,000. Their share count's about 409,000. Their share price around 28.9. It's over 30 right now. And BMNR ETH holdings are like, 3,726,000 ETH. And so if you look at the ETH per share and you look at the MNAV multiple, the MNAV sitting around 1.1-ish, and then you throw in the BMNR MNAV plus cash, and you're looking around MNAV plus cash multiple about a 1.04x. So basically, they've got a huge market cap. The majority of it's Ethereum, some of it's in cash. Their market cap is slightly above their real value. So they're really only trading at a 1.04x its real value. So it's a small premium. And the whole thing with these treasury companies is you want them to trade at a larger premium because, that's where the stock can really take off. And that's where it makes sense holding something like BMNR over Ethereum. But right now its premium that it's trading at is super low. And so, for people who are buying it, not financial advice, it's a good time to buy. When it goes below 1.0, it's definitely a good time to buy if you believe in the stock long term, hypothetically. But trading at this premium right now, that's not why we own BMNR. We want the premium to go up. And as sentiment gets more bullish, we may see a run up. We may see the MNAV go to 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 and higher in the future. We know it's been around 1.3 before we had the kind of dump and crash over the last couple months. So I'm expecting that premium to go back up, and I'm expecting this is kind of the low point for it. So we'll see if it boosts from here and goes back up to 1.3 as maybe we have some more bullish news in December and rates get cut and more money flows into the economy, that would be good for BMNR, and the MNAV would go up and they trade at a much higher premium. So when they dilute at a premium, they can buy Ethereum at a good price. And so basically what that means is when the stock is trading at a premium, it's a good time for them to issue new shares in the marketplace. And when they issue those new shares, they can take it and buy Ethereum. It's not a good deal for them to issue new shares if the stock's trading below the actual value. So right now it's trading a little bit of it at a premium. So, technically you could say diluting shares is okay because it's still trading at a premium, but the ideal scene is, shares go up to they trade at a 1.3, 1.4, 1.5x premium, and they're issuing new shares at that price point and picking up more Ethereum for their shareholders. So if they can buy ETH at a good price and issue new shares and buy ETH at a good price, it's good for long-term shareholders. And that's why I own BMNR, right? So ETH had a really bad November. If you look at November, they got crushed. So ETH fell about 22%. The only worst November was in 2018 when ETH fell like 43%. So it's a bad month, not the worst ever. December has actually started better now. In the first part of the month on Monday, it was not a good day, but now it's much better. So, we're happy about where we're headed now. Monday was not a good start to the month, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday has been very good. So that's very good news. And that's basically what's going on in the marketplace. So overall, I still believe that we've got BMNR with a really good strategy of accumulating Ethereum on their balance sheet. And I still think that their NAV, their net asset value, and the premium of what the stock is going to trade at above their net asset value, I think it's going to go higher than it is right now. It's super low. We've also seen this super low for Strategy. And we know Strategy's had some troubles recently with their stock being shorted and their stock dropping a lot. But this is what's, these companies that are accumulating crypto on their treasury, which are these digital asset treasury companies, they are risky and they're super volatile. And so when the sentiment's poor, like it has been over the last couple months, and Bitcoin and Ethereum drop, these DATs, these digital asset treasuries, they get crushed, right? And they drop even more. And we've seen this with Strategy, and now we've seen it with BMNR. The good thing is BMNR dropped as low as 25 and has gone up about 40% over the last several weeks. So it is recovering. I've seen BMNR drop before because I held it when it went from 60 all the way down to 40 in August and September, and then it went back up to 65. So we've seen drops like this before, not quite as big with BMNR in the last 4 to 5 months. With Strategy, this is a very big drop. And if you look at the stock today, let's see what Strategy's trading at right now. You've got Strategy at 187, a lot better than when it dropped to 158 the other day. So hopefully we've seen the bottom for Strategy, and we'll see better news moving forward. If you saw my video the other day, you'll see that Strategy has now, issued some shares to actually put some cash on their balance sheet. So now they're holding cash on their balance sheet of about $1.4 billion. So they can have the opportunity to pay out shareholders in the future on the preferred stock, and pay the dividends, I should say, on the preferred stock. And if they ever ran into trouble, they have like 1 to 2 years of dividends just sitting there in cash. So there's no issue there. I think a lot of people are getting overstressed about Strategy. As a shareholder, one should be like, for me, I'm like, yeah, of course, it's down to 190. It's no good. It was up at 500 at one point. But I think the news is putting a lot of unnecessary fear in the marketplace with Strategy. And I believe that they have a solid company. I believe they have a solid plan moving forward. They don't have a lot of debt compared to the balance of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Over the long term, if you believe that Bitcoin's going up over a 4-year period, then there's not much concern or considerations that Strategy would ever get into any trouble. And if you take a look at what Saylor's repeatedly said in regards to how Strategy operates, if you believe that Bitcoin's going to go up a 30% a year on average over the next so many years, then their ability to pay out these preferred instruments like Strike and Strife and Stride and pay 10%. Well, if Bitcoin's going up on average over 30% a year and they have to pay 10% out to their preferred stockholders, they're bringing in $3 and they're paying out $1. So conceptually, if you listen to Saylor, this company is not in trouble at all. Now, you can listen to the news and the posts. Well, while the company's not in trouble, the shareholders are getting creamed. And there is truth to that because the stock's dropped a lot. But zooming out and taking a longer term viewpoint on strategy is the only thing that makes sense right now, because a shorter term viewpoint is going to be, for me, just be selling off. If I sold off now, I'd still be in profits, but I have no intention to sell off. I'm going to hold the stock. If 2026 runs up and it's super bullish, great, fantastic. Maybe I take some profits. If I have to wait till 2028, no problem. Because this is a company that owns the most Bitcoin in the world out of any corporation. BlackRock clearly has the most in terms of ETF inflow, but this is the company that owns the most in the world. So if you believe in the future of the blockchain, and if you believe that Bitcoin is going to be around 5, 10, 20 years from now, then there's no long-term concern, in my viewpoint, about strategy. And I think anybody who has that long-term concern has not studied the company enough. And is it smart that they put a little bit of cash in there? I honestly think the move on the cash, this is my personal viewpoint, you can do your own research. I think the move on putting more cash or putting cash in the balance sheet was just to answer some concerns and considerations that are floating around of, bad PR and bad press that they're getting right now. And so I think it was a smart move for them to do it from a PR standpoint. I think they're putting people's minds at ease that they're in good shape and they're not going to sell their Bitcoin, and they have enough cash there to pay out their preferred stockholders and pay those dividends. But over a 4 or 5 year period, there's not a concern on this. From my perspective. Again, none of this financial advice. It's just my viewpoint. So overall, I believe in Saylor. I believe in the company. We're going to hear a little video from Saylor right now.
Faithful. It scares away the tourist. It scares away the lazy. It scares away the people that are already conventionally rich, that have all the money. If you're a 20-something or a 30-something and you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to spend 100 hours or 200 hours, if you have more time than money, then the volatility of Bitcoin is a gift to you. If you have more money than time and you're arrogant and egotistical and you just pick the obvious, then if the volatility goes away, you buy Bitcoin. If people in the rest of the world knew what I know and they understood and they agreed with me, Bitcoin would go to $10 million tomorrow. And if Bitcoin went to $10 million tomorrow, I want you to think about how you would feel and how your viewers would feel, because you would lose 20 years of stacking opportunity during which you get to buy at less than $10 million. So the difference between $10 million and 100,000, that's what you give up if the volatility goes away and people start to agree with you.
Words from Michael Saylor. Obviously, he's extremely convicted in Bitcoin. He has a long-term viewpoint. He has a different situation and scenario than other people. And people who buy his stock are betting that it's going to go up in the long run, and they want the volatility and the upside, but also that comes with the downside too. So be careful and be cautious with any of these digital asset treasury companies. I hold them. I have supreme faith in them over the long term, but over the short term, it's easy to have ups and downs and swings, and it's a huge roller coaster. So just be mindful, be cautious, do your research, check it out. If you want to learn more about these, a lot of people have been enjoying my book. You can grab it. It's free. Snag it down below. It goes into in-depth all about MSTR, all about BMNR, about Ethereum, about Bitcoin. It talks about the Federal Reserve and how it actually works. It talks about traditional financial products and how they work, because I spent first decade of my life in traditional finance working for a large financial company. So, I can give you comparable data on both sides of the coin, which is why I believe in Bitcoin and Ethereum and MSTR and BMNR, because I've seen the other side. I've lived and worked inside the other side. I know how it works, and I know that traditional finance over the long run is not a winning strategy. So hopefully this serves you. If you want to get my video down below, you can grab it too. It shows you my trading strategy of how I'm trading on a daily basis. And if you want to snag it, you can grab it. Hope it serves you. Hope you have a great rest of the day. If you want to like this channel, go ahead, like it, subscribe to it, leave a comment if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay well.